So if I told you how easy it is to get to some of the places that you maybe see pictures of but have never visited in the Big South Fork, you probably wouldn't believe me. But today I'm going to show you how easy it is to get to some of these cool places. So a growing number of people are familiar with Devil's Cave in the Big South Fork, which is off trail, but it's literally just a stone's throw from East Rim Overlook. This is East Rim Overlook, but Devil's Cave is just the start. And so the features I'm going to show you today, they're nowhere nearly as spectacular as Devil's Cave. I mean, there very few things are, right? But they're pretty unique in their own right. Plus, while a lot of people go to Devil's Cave, very few people go to the places that I'm about to show you. That's what I like about it. I like finding the hidden features of the Big South Fork. So that's what we're going to find today, and it's going to be a pretty adventure. So this is how you get to East Rim Overlook. Wide, handicapped accessible, paved walking trail, but that's not the way to the places we're going. To get to where we're going, you got to look for the hidden way. And the hidden way is going to be behind this park bench, a little narrow path that just heads off into the mountain laurel. So this footpath is created by people that are visiting East Rim Overlook, and they're really just curious, and so they wander off trail. And so one person goes and then another person goes, and pretty soon you've got this path that is developed. And so you follow this path and you come to this. Obviously you can't get down here. You jump off of that, you're gonna die. So, but if you follow this path right on around the cliff line, you will find a way down. So here's the way down. So, I don't know if you've ever seen a fat man jump down a rope, but you're about to. So, really nothing to it. And just like that, you are standing below where we were just at, looking down a minute ago. And when you walk up to this cliff's edge and you look down, you think, golly, that's a long ways down. But it's really easy getting down here. Once you're down here, yeah, so that's pretty much all there is to it. And it's pretty cool. But obviously it's not Devil's Cave, right? However, you turn around and you continue to follow this rock overhang, and that's where the cool adventure starts. So it's kind of like a passageway into an entirely different world, which is what really makes this unique. And this is what we're headed to first. And so this is a passageway through the sandstone, and this is called East Rim Tunnel. And so it was named by Tim Smith, who was an archaeologist here in the Big South Fork. He has passed away now, but he was an archaeologist here in the Big South Fork for several years. Did some work with Tom DeJean, who has also passed away and was the first archaeologist in the Big South Fork. So Tim liked to explore, and he came in here with his son and found this tunnel and several other pretty cool features. That's not to say he was the first person here, obviously, but he was the first person to document it. And so he named it, and it's East Rim Tunnel. It's a 60-foot long tunnel that goes through the rock. It's about 20 foot wide, 15 foot tall. And if I blindfolded you and I brought you in here, or if I just showed you a picture from inside the tunnel, you would swear that you were standing on the upper level of Devil's Cave. That is really what it looks like. Obviously it's not. And while this tunnel is really cool, Devil's Cave is about 300 foot long. This tunnel is about 60 foot. So yeah, there's quite a difference. However, with that said, this tunnel is really unique in its own right. One of the coolest places, really, that I know of in the Big South Fork. In fact, when you talk about tunnels, I've visited like 3 or 4, and there are probably 3 or 4 more that I know of that I'm not visited that are on the same scale. This definitely has a spot among all those places. And when I talk about those tunnels, I'm talking about places like, for example, Hole in the Ridge, probably the best example of a tunnel in the Big South Fork. It's also called Needle's Eye. Cracks in the Rock on the Kentucky end of the park is another one that comes to mind. There's a tunnel that's not too far from Hole in the Ridge that's unnamed, that is not this big, nowhere close to this big, but it's probably longer than this. And so it deserves mention in that. And there is a place called Christian Tunnel that is on the west side of the Big South Fork, and a couple of more that are unnamed as well. But this one ranks, I mean, this one can hold its own with any of those, you know, and it gets overlooked because it's right here next to Devil's Cave, and obviously it's not as grand as Devil's Cave, but this is a cool place, okay? And it's even cooler when you consider the fact that this tunnel is just a natural passageway to get from point A to point B, from where we were going, the parking lot, to where we want to get. You got to go through this tunnel to get there. That's pretty cool. All right, and so this is the far end of the tunnel, and then it kind of opens up. So you're gonna come through this. I told you we'd be back to where we were just a minute ago. That's where we were a minute ago. And in all honesty, in a life or death situation, you could get down that. But maybe not the safest thing in the world. Anyway, so now we're gonna come through this passageway. Basically, this passageway leads us to the cave that we're headed to. So here we are, and this is basically like a small sister cave to Devil's Cave, right? I mean, it's just right around the corner from it a little ways, and it was created very much the same way that Devil's Cave was created. However, this cave doesn't have a name, and which means it has not been officially documented on the Big South Fork Landforms list, so it needs a name. And so I've just always referred to it as Goblins Cave, because it's like a smaller version of Devil's Cave. And what's a small devil? A goblin. I'm sure there's other names too, but anyway, that's just what I always think of. I've always called it Goblins Cave, and this is it. So you'll see right off why that it doesn't get the attention that Devil's Cave gets. Obviously it's a lot smaller, but it's pretty cool. So it goes about 50 feet deep, whereas Devil's Cave goes 300 some odd feet deep. Obviously it's not nearly as wide or nearly as tall as Devil's Cave, but like I said a minute ago, it was created by the same natural processes as Devil's Cave. So this is real similar to Devil's Cave in a lot of ways. There's not as much water flowing through this cave as you find in Devil's Cave. However, when you get to the back, you will see that there's enough light to pick it up. And I didn't bring a flashlight. I'm not sure you can see. If you were a lizard or a snake, obviously you can keep going for just as far as you can see back through that rock. So it doesn't end 50 feet deep. It goes a lot deeper than that. And after periods of heavy rain, there is a lot more water that flows through here. You can kind of see a trickle of water back there. So yeah, obviously a fat man like me is not going through that, but a little bitty creature, yeah, they could squeeze through there. They can go quite a ways back through there. Probably at least another 50 feet, and maybe more, because you can't really see the back of it. And so this is what Goblins Cave looks like from the inside out. And again, it's nowhere near as impressive as Devil's Cave, but it's pretty impressive in and of itself. If it weren't for the fact that Devil's Cave is just right over there, like an eighth of a mile away, then people that found this would be like, whoa, that's pretty cool. But people who are venturing off trail in this area, they're headed to Devil's Cave. And when you've seen Devil's Cave, then you come here and you're like, yeah, so what? But it's pretty cool. And as I said in the beginning, I like it simply because most people either don't know it's here or don't care to visit it. And those are the places that I like to go. The places that no one else is going to, so yeah. And there's a constant drip of water. So usually when you find these rock shelters and the small caves in the Big South Fork, the first question that comes to mind is, did the Indians use these as shelter hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago? The answer for this one is probably not, because you couldn't stay dry in here with the constant seep of the water that's coming from the ceiling. I mean, I'm getting wet just standing in here. You can see the water that's dripping off of the walls. And so, yeah, Indians probably didn't use this. But amphibians would love it. Salamanders, snakes, frogs, all the things that you find in Devil's Cave, you would also find in here. And it's a perfect habitat for them. It's moist and cool in the summer. It's moist and warm in the winter. And it's a good place for creatures like that thrive in damp conditions to call their home. All right, so we're gonna head out of here and pick our way back to the parking lot. Now, the way that we came in was by going through the tunnel. And I'm not gonna go out the same way because there is an easier way to get out. The tunnel is cool and everything, but because of the boulder scrambling that you're required to do to get through the tunnel, in my opinion, there's an easier way. So we're gonna try that. So up there is where we need to get to get us back to the parking lot. And if I remember right, there's gonna be a way up just right on around here. So Matt Hudson, who is a ranger in the Big South Fork and just an all-around super nice guy, is always trying to get me rock climbing, which I have no intention of ever doing. Primarily because I think fat people have no business climbing rocks, and also because I'm really afraid of heights. So trust me when I tell you that this is the closest thing to rock climbing that you will ever see me do. Obviously, this would not be considered rock climbing. This would be considered bouldering, and really a pretty dull and lame example of bouldering at that. Not a whole lot of risk of falling and killing yourself here. You might fall and break a leg. Anyway, it's good enough for me. Yeah, so that's the way up. And that's East Rim Tunnel, and that is Goblins Cave, and it's amazing how easy they are to get to.